Good morning and welcome to Friday Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and we've made it through another week. Think about this, by Monday, August, half over already. Where does the time go? Just all kinds of just a crazy week. Think about gold on Monday was down $100 at one point. Right now, a big rally in gold. Gold's up almost $30. Is actually now up for the week, so quite a turnaround. 1777 right now on gold. Silver finally rallying as well. It's up 70 cents right now, closing in on $24 to the ounce. Speaking of closing in, man, have you seen the Taliban? Kandahar fell without resistance. The second largest city in Afghanistan. The third largest city fell as well. Kabul is about all that's left. The United States trying to get... It's happened so fast that we can't even get all of our people out of there. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. And again, think about the trillions we spent. It just never works well. I wish we'd stop doing it, right? You think about, I guess it starts, you go all the way, you go to the Vietnam War, how much we spent in Iraq, and it's a mess. We toppled, we officially probably didn't do it, but we helped get rid of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. That place is a mess. I don't know. Just crazy to think about it and how quickly. I think that's probably shouldn't even be shocking. We spent how many years training these forces, and now to see the Taliban with running around in our Humvees and all that stuff is it's disheartening. It's disheartening to say the least. And of course our president, where is he? Has anybody seen him? Anyone? I mean, I keep drawing parallels to the 1970s, and man, do we! It is striking. I'll use the Trump insurrection to go with the Watergate scandal. Okay, not the same, but very similar. Really, you think about it. Jason brought this up to me the other day. Talking about, Richard Nixon, people forget. Right? He went to China, right? And that was, I think he was on the cover of Life and Time and Newsweek back in the, publications. No, I don't even know if they're still in existence anymore. But he goes to China. At the same time, he ends the gold standard. And now we fast forward, and you think about, hey, 50 years later, and where we're at with all of that. Boy, don't we wish we had the gold standard back, right? The deficit was only $400 billion, and right now it's probably close to 20. Well, we already know it's already close to 29 trillion. It probably is 29 trillion, but because of the debt ceiling, we don't know. On our way to 30 trillion. We had a Federal Reserve at the time that was pretending inflation wasn't happening. Very similar. A weak head of the Federal Reserve, Jay Powell's a very weak Fed guy. Janet Yellen is the bully on the block there. Then, of course, we got Jimmy Carter. And remember, the whole Iran-Contra, or the Iranian prisoners, not Iran-Contra. That came with Reagan. But remember, they took the Iranians took the American hostages, and now, and of course, Jimmy Carter, an extremely weak president, and now here's Joe Biden, another extremely weak president. It's not Iran, it's Afghanistan, and it's just, I think we're in. We've been in the eye of the storm, and it's been calm, and everybody's been, hey, it's going to be okay, and Wall Street continues to try to hang on to what the Federal Reserve has been saying, even though it's not true. starting to fall apart. We had a consumer sentiment survey out today. And not that, I don't put a lot of stock in these things, but the Federal Reserve does, Wall Street does. Here's what's funny. It was the lowest in 10 years. It was an utter collapse. And everybody in that survey says prices and inflation, and it's eating us alive. And they don't feel, and a lot of places are saying, hey, things are slowing down. They're not speeding up. They're actually slowing down, which has really given a lot of juice to the market here today. Gold's now up 30 as we continue to watch all of this play out. But get ready. Jason brought up a great point yesterday. He thinks the Fed is going to supersize inflation. That's what he thinks. And you know what? It makes sense. I don't see them fighting it whatsoever. And of course, now we're in this period where every company out there is raising prices. Nancy Pelosi today. Staff pay for people that work under Nancy Pelosi, she raised their pay 15%. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you that inflation is here, and you better get ready for it. We got news out of China today. This is another one of these things about shortages you're not going to like. One of the largest container ports in the world is on lockdown today. Nothing going in, nothing going out. We'll talk about that and so much more. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592. Just remember, Wall Street will always be last. They used to say, it's so funny how many ridiculous things they used to say. Oh, no, Wall Street, remember stocks used to look a year ahead. And then it was 6 months ahead. Right now, stocks, they look 5 seconds ahead, if that. They're always the last, because they're dependent upon the Federal Reserve. That's why. So they don't have any real traders anymore, right? It's computers. It's whatever the Fed says is what we do, and They just brush everything aside. Like, you've got guys still going on TV today, right now, saying, oh, no, yeah, inflation. We're not worried about inflation. No, it's fine. It's gone. It's over. What are they talking about? And of course, it's only getting worse. But a couple of things started happening over the last few days. This is how quickly things changed from Monday to today. Bond auctions. We haven't talked about them lately. These tails are coming back. And for those of you that are like, what do you mean by a tail? So when we auction our debt, think about this every day. Billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Most days, $100 billion plus in auctions. They take the best bids first. So everybody submits bids. Yeah, I want $1 billion of 10-year notes, and I'm willing to accept an interest rate of X. And of course, they fill the people that ask for the least amount of interest first. And then they go through, and let's just say it was a $50 billion 10-year note auction. Okay, so we had to sell $50 billion. And the first bids, the lowest bids get filled first, all the way up until the higher bids, until they've sold the $50 billion. The difference between the people that would accept the lowest rate and the highest rate, that's the tail. So let's just say hypothetically, and I'm making it up, so this isn't what happened, but let's just say hypothetically the lowest bids were at 1.3%, and the highest bid to fill it got to 1.4. That would be a long tail. They like to have that tail. If the lowest was 1.3, maybe 1.31, 1.32. Anything over that starts to get worrisome. We started off the week real good. Tails were small. For the last 3 days, these tails have been getting larger. People are now starting, and this is people kind of saying we don't believe the central bank right now. We're starting to lose a little bit of faith in what it is they're trying to sell to us. Didn't you take this consumer sentiment number today, which, by the way, it came in at 70.2. And I will tell you, it's been a long time since I've seen a number that low. According to CNBC, the lowest since 2011. So that would be 10 years. You think about it, wasn't even this low during the peak of the pandemic, just to kind of tell you how quickly things have changed. But here's what's interesting. It was the size of the fall. And it was down more than 13% in 1 month. Now that's significant because they've only had drops over 10%. And they've been taking this survey for decades. 6 times. And this one being the 6th. Every one of those preceded I guess what I don't want to call it a recession, but a dramatic fall in the economy. So this is what's got everyone's attention. First, the tails were worrisome, and now this comes in, and of course, in the survey, just to give you an idea of the last times this has happened over the past half of a century. So go back to the closing of the gold window. All of these drops were negative changes in the economy. 2 of the larger month-over-month moves, when you think of this, April 2020, right? So that was COVID. Now, it didn't get this low, but it was a big drop. October 2008. Well, we all know what happened October 2008. That was the start of the financial crisis. You go back to 2001, right? This is the end of the dot-com blow up, right? So this is pretty significant. Now, we'll see what happens. The biggest issue out in the consumer's mind was prices. And the economy, believe it or not, a lot of them were saying the economy for them is starting to slow down. So just things to keep in mind as we're watching things play out here. Are we moving out of the eye of the storm? I think we are. And here's the problem. Joe Biden, again, he's weak. You know he's weak. I know he's weak. I don't even know where the heck the guy is. This is how his faculties have degraded. This is how badly they've degraded. He doesn't take questions. This wasn't, reporters couldn't question him, but he made a little speech about this $3.5 trillion human infrastructure bill. And he was saying, oh no, it's not going to be inflationary. Matter of fact, it's going to be the opposite. Yeah, see, if we just spend all this money, right, inflation's going to go down. And all of us know that's an idiotic statement to make. Nobody believes that. But someone told him that, and he just repeated it. And we've got all of these weird little things happening, the COVID thing, places shutting down. I don't know how that's going to play out. Right? And I think a lot of us are like, man, we're not going to go back to full lockdowns, but you're seeing certain cities, certain states, all that stuff. Something really bad happened over the last 48 hours in China. The largest shipping port, and I'm going to guess, I'm going to say in the world. I know it's the largest one in China. It'll be interesting. Maybe the port of Los Angeles could be up there as well, but one of the largest ports in the world. How about that? Closed. Shipping rates for a 40-foot box. This was before the closure. Was at $20,000. Let me tell you where it was at the end of July. Shipping rates, which have already doubled and tripled. A 40-foot box, and I'm talking about those metal shipping containers, was $11,000. Before the closure, $20,000. And now they're saying that the price to ship a box, a 40-foot box, may hit $100,000. And these are things, again, that you have no control over, right? We've moved all of this manufacturing over there, and you either pay for it or it doesn't get loaded. And here's the other part. Now, all the stuff that needed to be loaded that was sitting on these trucks, think about this, and I don't know how long this port is going to be shut. It's a COVID shutdown. Oh, by the way, it's the third largest port. There's one in Shanghai that's number one, and apparently a port in Singapore is number two. So we're not even in the top three. So should what I know. By the way, it is the third largest container port in the world, but the busiest port by volume. So there you go. This is the largest port. So I was right the first time. It handled more freight in the first 7 months of this year. They said 18.7 million containers out of this port. The shutdown already apparent as of yesterday, as shipping companies now are pushing back arrival times for vessels. And I get it. I don't know what this means for all of us. I will say this: when the largest port in the world completely shuts down, that's a problem. And of course, we're already seeing, we had import-export prices out. Do you know what our export prices were? Up 17% year over year. Import prices, well, they're a little better. They're up only like 15% year over year. So think about this. So Jay Powell comes out, says, oh, no, don't worry, inflation's like 5%. Nancy Pelosi raises pay 15%. Our exports prices, this is prices, up 17%. Import prices up 15%. You tell me where this is going. And now they're saying that expect port delays, expect more congestion, expect shipping costs to really get out of line. I'll give you a great story. Last Friday, I was overnighting something to my son, in Chicago. And it was an envelope size. Okay, so not real big. Didn't weigh much. Weighed like a pound, not even. And I go to the FedEx place, and they said to me, well, when do you want it there? And I said, I don't know, how about tomorrow? They said $146 to get it there tomorrow. I'm not kidding. I'm like, what? All right, well, forget tomorrow then, right? How about Monday? Oh, well, that's $112. Anyhow, I just was like, you got to be kidding. I go, people pay that? And the people there were like, oh, yeah, well, people are they just put down their Amex cards. They don't care. I said, are you just not getting yelled at every day? I go, that's ridiculous. And I ended up not shipping it that way. I just put it in the mail. I mean, I'm not paying that. That's crazy. But get ready. And today's move, I'm looking at gold today. It's not a big deal. $30 isn't a big move. Yeah, okay. Did we get back what happened on Monday? Yes, but we're still below 1,800. But I'm going to tell you right now, go back to the comparisons of the 70s. If you actually looked how gold moved, it moved very, very quickly. In a matter of 2-3 days, boom, up 100. 2-3 days, up 100. And then it would wait and sit and fall and up, and then boom, up again. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Disney saying that park cancellations are rising, and they're saying that attendance levels, which were looking really good, are starting to fall. Airbnb says that a solid second quarter travel is now starting to fall here in the third quarter. They're saying fewer bookings for the fall. Seasonality impacts in the reemergence of the virus. Southwest Airlines has experienced a deceleration in close-in bookings and an increase in close-in trip cancellations as this thing starts to spread. And again, we're in this cycle, right? We're coming out of the eye of the storm. I'm telling you right now, the economy isn't as good as they said. Still not horrible. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, we're going to have negative GDP. That's not what I'm saying. But it's slowing, and inflation is going gangbusters. This is the worst scenario. This is, you're talking stagflation, which is exactly what I've been saying is coming. The 70s, we had inflation. Everything rose. Wages and this and that. I mean, all of it. This is the economy. You look at the GDPs of the 70s, they were big. It's some big GDP years in the 70s. We're not going to have that. We're going to have really high inflation in GDP, especially with Biden. He doesn't give anybody any confidence whatsoever. How about this one now? There's a coalition now trying to go to lobby the federal government for a bailout for people that won't be able to pay their utility bills. Utility prices skyrocketing across the country. They say they need $40 billion to wipe out electric, water, and broadband debt. These are people that are behind in their utility bills. Just those three things. $40 billion are trying to get the Biden administration, tack that onto that human infrastructure bill. Why not? And they started mentioning states that you don't even think. We know Texas and California utility bills. Here in Arizona, get ready. We're going to start paying a lot more for utility bills as this water problem continues to affect what's happening with hydropower. But now you think about states like Michigan. I don't know. I have no idea what's happened in Michigan. Apparently, they have some of the biggest increases in electricity rates in the country, and it's just not enough. We did the show a couple of weeks ago. What do people need to make to be able to rent a 2-bedroom apartment and pay their bills. About $30 an hour. Just under. They came in just under. But it was like $27, something like that. Just for a 2-bedroom apartment. And you start thinking about what's really happening right now. We have a complete situation where there's no good choices left. They really can't fight inflation. Remember, Paul Volcker had the courage. The debt wasn't even $1 trillion back then. So, yeah, you could have a 16 or 17% Fed funds rate. You can't do that today. I mean, what could they really do? I mean, they could stop tapering, right? Of course, that would push yields up and mortgage yields up and whatnot. But how far? Not that far, right? What would that? What are we talking about? Maybe a 2% yield. I mean, how many interest rate hikes could they really do? I mean, they're already telling us inflation's 5%. So you would think the Fed's funds rate should be at least that. But they can't go to 5%. Why can't they? They can't service the debt. Do you know what the debt payments on $30 trillion, and when I say 30, I mean, we know we're headed to 40 and 50. Do you know what the payments would look like? We would be running national debts, forget about $3 trillion. We'd be running national debts approaching $10 trillion a year. I mean, the whole gig would be up. So we need a reset. We have to have one. There is no other answer. Right? They can't, I mean, what could they do? We're going to raise rates to 1%? Well, what good is that going to do if inflation's 5%? Of course, we really know it's 15. Not going to do any good at all. You would have to raise rates to the level that inflation is or higher. They can't do that. I think Jason was brilliant yesterday. Hey, they're going to supersize it. Right? Let's go to 40-year mortgages or 50-year mortgages. Let's go to 10-year car loans to try to just keep the monthly payment down. You'll actually never own anything. Right? You'll just kind of be renting it for a really long time. But then a reset needs to happen. Now, Jason likes to believe that, hey, they do this when the Republicans are in there. So I don't know. You know, the realities are, I don't know that we can get to 2025 before it happens. This is how big the problem really is. And I'll remind you, 2 weeks before Bear Stearns collapsed, their CEO was on TV telling you how great their company was and their debt levels are fine and don't worry. And the stock was like $42. It may have been $50. 2 weeks later, there was a backdoor deal for JP Morgan to pay $2. That's how quickly the house of cards collapses. Make sure you're ready before it happens. Patriot Radio News Hour got a great little special to give to you here. That's coming up next. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Friday. Gold's up $28 here, 1777. Silver's up 64, 65 cents, almost 23.80, 23.77 on silver today, as people starting to worry about the consumer sentiment report. We had a massive drop. This has only happened 6 times, and it's always precursor to some bad times economically. Let's hope this time it's different. But that's really moving the markets. And then, of course, we've had some troubles with very large tails in our debt auctions, which is kind of, people are speculating, hey, the Fed may have it wrong, which I already know they do. You know they do. Now you know why we can't fight the inflation. They can't. It's just not possible. Not only would it cause a recession, but the interest payments would be so enormous. It would be so counterproductive. I think we're in for something completely different. This is going to be, I think, a stagflationary type event. Wages won't be able to rise fast enough to keep up with it all. And then we'll have a reset. It's some form of digital thing happening out there. One of the largest gold shows in the world is going on right now in Chicago. And my guy Mark's there, and he reiterated, there's just not a lot of gold and silver out there. It's just not out there. And he started talking, we were talking about different products and the Indian market. We've sold a few here and a few there because they're hard to get. It's really starting to move. The last time the Indian market really started moving was right before the financial collapse. And man, I mean, right now, a $5 Indian is carrying close to $100 premium over a $5 Liberty. So for those of you that don't know, the Indians were the fractional coins to go with the Saints. So Teddy Roosevelt commissioned Augustus St. Gaudens for a new design because he thought the Liberties were ugly, wasn't majestic enough, and they came up with the Saints. At that same time, they created the Indians. And they've got the female Indians, and they've got the male Indians. The male Indian coins they're my favorite. They're awesome, and they're probably now, I don't know, somehow racist. I don't know how, but I'm sure they are. But the thing about the Indians, they never really minted that many. And then the plague came. Kind of interesting too, because now we're talking about coronavirus. See, the $5 Indian, it's the only coin we ever did this. It had what they called an infused design, where they actually engraved into the coin. So the $5 Indian is the male Indian with the Indian headdress on. It's awesome. And I think a huge tribute to the Native Americans. That's just my opinion. But they actually carved into the coin. And people thought, and probably rightfully so, that those grooves carried the plague. Eric always used to say, that's where the expression, don't put that in your mouth, because you don't know where it's been, right? The $5 Indian. They started minting these in 1908. They stopped minting the coin in 1916. 1916, they only made a couple 100,000 of them. That was it. And they never minted the $5 Indian again, except for 1 year, 1929. So really, not counting 1916, because there's only a couple 100,000 of them, the Indian was made, the $5 Indian was only around for 10 years. Count 1916, okay, 11 years. Only twice did they mint more than 1 million of them. And this is one of the reasons why the Indians always carry a premium above the Liberties, because there's just a lot less of them. But the $5 Indian, I was talking to Mark in Chicago, and he was telling me, listen, there's a huge Indian run. Somebody is buying up the market, and I've seen this market do it before. Heck, I've seen where $5 Indians were twice as much as $5 libs. Twice as much. And then when that happens, I'll come on the air and say, trade your $5 Indians for two $5 libs, right? That'll be great. Of course, nobody will do it. That's just how it always is. But I've got 32 $5 Liberties. Yesterday, we ran them at $650. Gold's up 30. They're $650. You heard me right. I've only got 32 of them, and I think we're setting up ourselves for another big run in the Indian market. So get in here at the ground floor. 32 $5 Indians. They're $650 today. 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Got a couple of lines open. Arlene will be back next week. We'll be back up to strength here as she was wrapping up the last of our summertime vacations. I'm just looking at pricing here on these Indians. Let me give you a little more reason to take advantage. Because this price it's stupid dumb. Just an XF version. We're doing our you know us. A lot of people will sell our products that we say are circulated as XFs. We don't do that. $650 is below cost. A mid-state 63 $5 Indian is worth more than a mid-state 63 $10 lib. And 64, 5, 6. These are, when you talk about the era of pre-33 gold that it has the least amount available, it's the $5 Indian. There's less $5 Indians than there are anything else in that category. And you got to go back to like the gold at pre-1866 to find stuff that like that. And I guess the $3 Princess, so I'm fibbing a little bit. The $3 Princess, which we don't talk about, is also very rare as well. But these coins, and we've seen it before, a lot of you, this is the great thing about us being around so long. I know a lot of you out there probably calling right now, remember the last time, remember the Indian market went nuts. Where, one $5 Indian was twice as much as a $5 lib. I remember $5 Indians were worth more than a $10 Liberty at the peaks. So we're going to continue to watch this. Like I said, my guy Mark is at the Chicago show. It's one of the bigger shows. He's been there for the last 3 days. And this is the word. The Indian market is running again. So let's take advantage of it. I'll do a better job of watching it. Shame on me, because I haven't paid enough attention to it and then didn't even realize now. It's almost $100 premium. But think about how cheaply you're buying right now. A $5 lib right now, $600. So for an extra $50, you get the Indian. That's a really good opportunity for you. And then as these prices, if the run comes and it gets to that point again, I'll come on the air and say, hey, you may want to consider trading them. Because the one thing, nothing lasts forever. And maybe take advantage where, hey, if you could turn a $5 Indian into two $5 libs or into a $10 lib, double the amount of gold. That's a great thing, isn't it? Give it a shot. We had 32. I know we don't have 32 now, but whatever is still available, $650, 800-951-0592. And, hey, don't forget, take those CBD products. They're awesome. They're so great. Go to 1360KHNC, hit the shop button, and allow your body to heal itself naturally. And then, of course, call us and make sure that you've got that portfolio insurance by having your gold and silver put away. God bless everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday.